Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the singers, the singers only. Singers only. Hey, you guys, it's Kristal Cherelle from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. Today, we're going to talk about how to rehearse effectively. Okay, so when I started singing, I started out as a solo instrumentalist slash singer. So I would just take my guitar and sing songs. It was very simple. Now, the way I rehearsed completely evolved as I continued being a musician, and I've had times when I had a band and there's times when I'm solo, and there'd be different events where I would go in and out between either one of those situations. But I started realizing that rehearsing the way I wasn't really effective in all situations. And so over the years, I've compiled a few things that have really helped and some lessons that I learned. Now, I'm just going to preface this by saying, there are different types of gigs, and so your rehearsals will change a little bit. So let's say you get gigs for you singing songs that you don't know very well, and so you have to start committing them to memory and all of that. It's very different than if it's a song that you already know and you're used to doing the same songs over and over again. Now, I've had experience doing both of those, all of those. I've had times when I had to perform solo and learn songs immediately for telegrams and things like that by request. And then there's also gigs where I had to people would pick songs from my set list of songs that I was always rehearsing. And then there's, my own original music. And I was always practicing those with my band at the time, and then also solo. So there are actually 8 steps that help you rehearse effectively no matter what situation you're in. Now, before I get into that, you guys, I just want to say I am very excited today because today is our 10th episode. And I just honestly, I can't believe how fast this happened. Like, I feel like I just started doing the podcast. But anyway, I'm very thankful for everyone who has been listening, everyone who's been watching the videos and who have subscribed to the podcast. I just really enjoy getting to share my story as a musician and as a vocal coach so that I can help other people. Now, we're still growing, right? So it's kind of in its infancy, and production does take time and resources that I'm paying for. And so your help would be amazing. And the way you can help is by subscribing with a monthly donation. You could donate $1 a month, or it could be $10 a month. No matter which one you choose, it is going to be so helpful. And the way you can help is by going to anchor.fm/the Singer's Arsenal /support. That's anchor.fm/the Singer's Arsenal /support. So let's get into these 8 steps that really help make rehearsing effective. Okay. Number 1 thing that you need to do is make sure that you have a goal in mind. What is it that you want to accomplish with your rehearsal? I like to think of it in 2 stages. One is the overall goal, the big plan. So say you've got, 10 songs you got to get down by X date. You could break that up into small rehearsal sections, and you can decide, okay, I'm going to do 2 songs a day for this many days, and I'm going to put it all together. Or you could say, I'm going to do all of them every single day. Now, I will recommend that you break it up. That is the best way to retain. But either way, you need to have a goal in mind. And every time you sit down to rehearse, you need to say, what is my goal today? It could be even smaller than a whole song. You could say, for today, I'm going to work through the toughest passage in this song and the toughest passage in that song. It doesn't mean they're the whole song, but you've really narrowed down exactly what it is you want to accomplish in that day. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to make sure that you find somewhere quiet. So it needs to be a place that you've designated for your rehearsing. I personally have my music room. One thing I found that helps me is I only use this room for music. I have only music things in here. I don't watch TV in here. I don't have a TV in here. I don't eat in here. For the most part, I try my best to make sure that I only do music here, whether it's creating music, producing music, teaching music, or rehearsing in here. Every time I come into this room, I know it's time to get down to business. Okay. So that's the goal. Something I also do that could help you as well is put the things that you use to rehearse in plain sight. So for me, that's, my guitar, my piano. I keep my door open so that when I'm passing by, I see it and it triggers in my mind. Oh yeah, you didn't play any music today. Oh, you didn't sing today. So just keep the things that you need to remind yourself to practice out in the open. Okay, so that's step 2. Step number 3 is to use your resources. So that kind of goes hand in hand with like instruments and microphones and things like that. But I also want you to think about applications that can help make rehearsing easier for you. So for me, when I was gigging and learning a lot of songs, something that was really helpful for me was an app called Guitar Tabs. Like I said, I'm a guitarist, but it doesn't matter if you're a guitarist, pianist, whatever. One of the reasons I liked it is because it put lyrics and chord charts all up in one space. On my iPad, it was portable and easy to have. Another thing that helps with something like this is that if you work with a band, you can send it to them as well. So you want to make sure that everybody has the same resources to rehearse from so that everybody's on the same page if you're with a band. But even if you're solo, still use the resources at your fingertips, okay? So the next thing that you want to do is structure your rehearsal. So you can start off with a vocal warm-up. Okay, which if you don't know some vocal warm-ups, you can go ahead and check out my vocal regimen episode. You do the songs that you need to rehearse or the goal that you have, starting with the most challenging sections, the most challenging songs, going to one of the more easy songs on your list for the day. And then at the end, just doing something that's not even on your list, right? Just something that you already know that you feel comfortable doing, or something like improv, just having fun, just cooling down and getting your mind in the zone of, I just love to do this, okay? And then you can end your whole rehearsal by doing vocal cool downs. Again, if you forgot about or never heard what a vocal cool down is, you can go ahead and take a look at my vocal regimen episode. Okay, step number 5. This is important. Step number 5 is to work smarter, not harder. Okay. There's this saying that goes out that says you have to practice a certain amount of hours in order for you to be good at something. While I agree that you do need repetition, I think it's really important how you rehearse, because doing something and just thinking it counts just because you sat down and did it is a little bit misinformed. I'm just going to say it, okay? Because the truth is, you need to make sure that what you're learning and the way you're rehearsing is actually working for you, okay? And there's some cool little tips that help you break through the difficult passages in songs, which I thought was really cool. So your brain is super weird, like, or cool. It depends on how you want to look at it. But there is something that happens when you're learning something new for the first time, is your brain creates new neural pathways, okay? And sometimes it can be hard to do if you keep trying something the same way over and over again and you're not making progress. Have you ever been stuck like that? So a way to interrupt that pattern is by also giving your mind something else to do while you're still trying to learn that. So one thing that they found that was really helpful, you can do something physically demanding as well. So something like standing on one leg and trying the passage then, or running and trying to sing then. It's something I actually tried for myself. Here's another story, guys. In the beginning, I started off with a bunch of ballads. I was a ballad girl, love the love songs. And one thing about ballads is you have so much space to breathe, so much long phrasing, minimal movement, and all of that. But when I started doing more upbeat songs, I started noticing that, first of all, it's high energy. So when I was on stage, I wanted to jump and get people involved, and my phrasing was shorter, lots of short bursts of energy. I wanted to figure out a way that I could do that and not be exhausted, because at first it was horrible. I was so out of breath. And so one thing I started doing was running while I was singing those upbeat, intense songs. And then when I stopped running, it just became so easy to sing them when I was on stage. It felt effortless. And it is a little different because it was literally a physically demanding thing that I was trying to overcome. But in doing that, I stumbled upon this cool brain hack. I didn't know about the neural pathways and all of that at the time. I was just trying things. So if you get stuck on something, go ahead and do something physically demanding, not the whole time now, guys, but just do something physically demanding for a little bit while you're doing that difficult passage, and then stop and watch how much easier it is for you to do it. Another thing I will say is if you get stuck and you keep trying and you've tried everything and it's just not working, give it a break and tell yourself, I'm going to do this tomorrow. It's like when you say a word 20 times really fast and then it starts sounding like another language, even though it's the same word. There's this thing that happens when it just never sounds right. So sometimes you need to give yourself a break and come revisit it, even if it's in the same day. But there's something that happens when you kind of pull yourself away from it and then come back. That's helpful too. All right, number 6, which is don't always start at the beginning. Okay. One way to make sure that you really know the song and you really understand everything backwards and forwards is to do it, start in the middle of the song or start at the end. This kind of ties in with the working smarter, not harder as well, because it helps you prioritize the things you really need to work on over the ones that you already know. Okay. So just mix it up, whether this is about the pieces of the song or if it's a specific section in your entire set. Okay. All right, you guys. So number 7, this one is cool. This one is once you've been practicing and rehearsing, the songs are locked into your memory and all of this, and you've got the phrases down, is to also practice outside of your environment. And the reason it's good to do that is it kind of takes your mind off of things a little bit. And that's when you get the chance to modify it so you can be a little bit more creative and free in your rehearsal, but also make sure you've really got those parts down. Another thing that it does is it helps you make mental rehearsal a priority as well. So say you practice while you're in the car and you're an instrumentalist as well. Well, you'll have to visualize the chords, right? You'll have to visualize what your hands are doing. Even mentally thinking or humming the lyrics is helpful. Just practicing outside of the environment, make sure that you can feel it in your body, right? All right, so the last step, is number 8. And number 8 is to reward yourself for your hard work. I know this sounds so cliche, but it's definitely something that I've struggled with throughout my entire career and as a person, honestly. So one thing that happens is when you get in rehearsal mode, it's really easy, especially if you're working on hard phrases and trying to break through and crack the code and all of this stuff. It can get real easy to start striving for perfection and being down on yourself and getting discouraged if you don't get it. So the reason why it's important to reward yourself, whether you actually get that passage or not at the time, the point of rewarding yourself is for getting up and rehearsing. Okay. You're rewarding yourself for your commitment. You're rewarding yourself for your focus. Okay. That's really what you're rewarding yourself for at the moment. And then the biggest reason why you're rewarding yourself is so that you'll do it again. Okay. So you'll start liking the challenge. You're going to start wanting to go tackle those hard phrases because you've told your brain, hey, guess what? You know what happens when you dare to try is that you get a reward. Now, I highly recommend that your reward be a good thing, okay? Because sometimes it's like, oh, I want to eat some sweets. Some people have vices that they go to. That's not really helpful in the end because it's going to limit your ability to perform as well, right? And you don't want anything that's going to be hurting you as a reward, right? That's not really rewarding. So do something that's healthy for you and you like. So for me, I like bubble baths. Okay, you guys. So remember, number 1, set a goal. What is it you're here to accomplish with each rehearsal? That's the question you ask yourself. Okay. And number 2, find somewhere quiet where you can rehearse and make sure it's designated and full of all the goodies that remind you that it's time to work on music, okay? Step number 3, make sure you use all of your resources. Look and see what's out there. Is it harder than it needs to be? Are there some things that can help you learn faster? Go ahead and take a look at those. Step number 4, make sure you structure your rehearsal. It needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So think of it as a story. What's the intro? Your intro is warm-ups. What is the climax of the story? What's the most interesting part? Well, it's when your brain is struggling and trying to figure out the hard passages. And then it slowly gets easier as you work on the things that you're familiar with, and then you do your vocal cool down to close the story, right? Step number 5, make sure that you're practicing smarter, not harder. You don't have to work from, the way you're always used to doing it. Unlock the code. So even if that means you need to do something different, put it down and revisit it, that's fine too. Step number 6, make sure that you don't always start at the beginning, because you want to make sure that you really know the song, and also you want to prioritize the hard passages first. Step number 7, make sure that you practice outside of your environment as well, to make sure that you really know it and that it's in your body, it's in your brain, and that you can think of it even when you don't have everything at your fingertips. And step number 8, reward yourself for your hard work. You guys, luck is really preparation meeting opportunity. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. And I have a story that really proves that, you guys. I remember the day I got a call to open for Lauryn Hill. I was just in my car. I was about to go back inside. And, I was like, okay, so when is this gig? Yes, my answer was yes. My answer was just yes. And they said the gig is tonight. Can you do it? And my answer was yes. But had I not been preparing along this time, had I not been rehearsing, had I not been doing my vocal regimen and warming up and doing my rehearsals and getting this song stuck in my head and making sure I really knew what I was doing, I wouldn't have been ready for that opportunity when it came. I would have said, hold up, give me more time. Hold up, I need to get ready first. But no. That's one of the benefits of always being ready. Learning the ways to effectively rehearse also helps you, if you're not ready, to get ready real fast, right? Even if you're not good at rehearsing right now, guess what? Just rehearse on getting better at rehearsing. Rehearsals are not about perfection. Rehearsals are about learning. Rehearsals are about developing. So if you guys actually want tips, vocal tips sent to your email inbox, go ahead and visit my website, indie-artist.teachable.com. That's indie-artist.teachable.com. And make sure you support by donating to this podcast so that I can continue to make these episodes for you by visiting anchor.fm/thesingersarsenal/support. That's anchor.fm/thesingersarsenal/support. Well, you guys, until next time, have a wonderful day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a